Someday the high and the mighty will fall. There will be no power brokers. The wall of power will fall. Someday. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. Spring is springing and partly sprung here in the Twin Cities. You're listening to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metza. I have a great guest on tonight. She's a fabulous singer. I've been keeping my eye on her for the last several years. She's really coming into her own. She has a big show tonight you can watch. She was picked by Taj Mahal to be part of a performance called Roots Rising Showcase. We'll talk more about that. But I want to introduce the Wall of Power radio audience to the great Annie Mac. Annie, how are you tonight?
Oh, I'm doing so good. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. I really do appreciate it.
Well, I remember when you kind of broke on the scene. I'm going to guess within the last 5 to 10 years, I'm going to guess around 7 when you kind of came on my radar. We were both playing at the Bayfront Blues Fest, I believe, and you called me up and said, hey, if there's a chance to sit in, I was playing with Willie Walker, could I? And of course, I don't think the timing worked out. You sure would have been, and Willie would have loved to hear you. But when did you start recording and start playing out in public?
Oh, man, probably about 2008, but I wasn't intending, to actually perform. I just was looking to possibly do some poetry, do some slams. I just wanted a creative outlet. So I don't have a musical background. I don't have, none of that stuff, training or anything like that. I honestly just really came into it pretty late.
I love it. So what was that moment you said, well, geez, I'm going to sing too?
Yeah, I had the audacity. I had the audacity to do that, and then the audacity to charge people cash money. So that was some bullshit. But it's taken a while to really step in and literally find my voice. I know that's kind of a cheesy thing to say. I've had to compensate in ways because I don't have that background and I don't have, but I believe it's a calling. I believe it's a tool. I'm a blue-collar lyricist. I'm a blue-collar performer.
I love it.
I tell the story. That's my job, is to tell the story and to be relatable and accessible to people and to encourage them from all walks of life, So that's my, I believe, my calling, So I used to be concerned about the big notes, and I used to be concerned about, and now it's like I just want to be solid and do a good job, and do what's in for me to do.
That's fantastic. You go, girlfriend. I love that attitude. And so, where did you come from? How did you end up in the Twin Cities?
I grew up in North Minneapolis,
okay.
Born and raised. So I grew up, my mother was a lover of music. We had a really beautiful console, with the mustard green crushed velvet drapes
Beautiful.
on the record player. Yeah, and that was our escape. We were real humble growing up, real poor, and so we didn't have money for Disneyland. We didn't have money for a car, but we had money to go travel and listen to records, so we had money to listen to everything from Blue Note records and, Miles Davis to Dolly Parton to, Parliament Funk to, soul, jazz, classical, everything. That was how we traveled, and books. So, my mother, she's a West Bank woman, she's born and raised Minneapolis. And so that's what she passed on to us, was to love music, and books and to a good coffee shop,
Yeah.
So these are things I hold dear,
Was Mama a hippie?
She was a militant. My mom she was ahead of the game. She was real hip. She was
Cool.
the Mayday book. Yeah, she was
Oh,
the
yeah.
Mayday book. Yeah, she was, we were part of, we didn't eat pork growing up. We ate a lot of vegetables. We lived off the land in North Minneapolis. We had a garden.
Nice.
That's how we survived during the winter. We canned our, vegetables, and we ate oatmeal, and so we're from that. That's kind of how I was raised, and so Mama was very political and just a really brilliant mind that I think society didn't allow her. She was a single mom, beautiful black woman, living in slum housing, doing the best she could. And so she put a lot of stuff on hold. Yeah, she put a lot of stuff on hold for my sister and I. So that's a big part of pursuing music was, let me do something that I love or something that, let me at least try to dream. Let me have the, audacity to dream and do something before I leave this earth, versus sacrificing all the time.
What, did your mother have any artistic outlets?
She's a great sketch artist.
Cool.
Visual. Yeah. Music, she just had a really beautiful ear. Mm-hmm. She's real deep. She's a deep listener. She's the type of person, if you ask her, you could say, oh, Delia, you like Aretha Franklin? She said, well, you mean Aretha Franklin when she was with James Cleveland? Or do you mean Aretha Franklin when she was with, when she was sanctified? Or are you talking about Aretha Franklin? My mom was a real deep listener.
I love that.
And she loved following artists on their journey and their growth. And her favorites were like Etta James and Bobby Blue Bland because they were reinventors. These are artists that reinvented themselves dimensionally. They knew how to keep with the times and they knew how to push themselves artistically. They did it all, right? So, and Ray Charles. So she loved artists like that. But,
well, she's got incredible taste.
She really did. She was really awesome.
Dolly Parton and Miles Davis. I love that. I've walked that bridge before. Annie, so what? How old was? What was the age difference between you and your sister?
8 years.
Okay. Are you older or younger?
I'm younger.
Okay.
I'm younger sister. So my sister's 8 years older. So I live vicariously through her. I'm 42, right? So when I was a kid, she was sneaking into First Ave, and I was coming. This is back old Minneapolis. We're talking Pops Arcade. You hear me?
Yeah,
I hear you.
Blackie.
Yeah, we're talking Blackie.
Oh yeah, I love Blackie. I'm Blackie. Yeah. I love Blackie.
Yeah. So for me, growing up, and my grandmother lived at the 514 Hennepin, right across building, right across from the public library.
Oh, nice.
And so we caught the bus. So when people would be like, Annie, where do you live? I said, I don't know, but I live on the 19, the 20, the 14, the 22, the number 5, And I'm like, I don't know, I don't know how to get to my house. I can tell you the bus route, but you'll stop sometime before you get there. But so
I had a buddy that I think he still lives in that apartment building. I loved the library. Please open up again so I can, number one, pay off my overdue charges and get some new books. God, so what is your sister artistically inclined at all, or what does she do?
She had a beautiful voice, so they're both passed on. My mother died in 2006, and my sister died in 2019. That was my small, immediate family. So it's just me, it's me, and my grandmother passed away after my mom was 2 or 3 years after my mama passed. So it's just me. So I carry a lot with me, in a beautiful way. It's not a burden, but it's a comfort, It's just the heaviness of ancestors, and kind of having these realized dreams. Like I'm treating myself to dreaming and to embracing, success, and to really just embrace the calling and enjoy, and it's okay to be to dream. Our dreams are what show us how to get out. You know what I mean? So so that's kind of where I'm at.
Did you just say you're treating yourself to dreaming? Because if you did, that is a beautiful quote, Annie Mac. I'm going to use that. Treat yourself to dreaming. Wow. Let's write that song together.
Yeah. Treating myself to dreaming. I believe it.
Now, you've got a record, EP, 5 songs called Testify. We're going to listen to 4 of them during tonight's show on the Wall of Power Radio Hour. Annie, tell us about this one that we're going to listen to first called Get on the Train.
So you check this out. So speaking of dreaming, I wrote this tune with actually Mr. Taj Mahal in mind, or like an elder whom I respect creatively, that would be talking to a young person that's like, hey, or a person that's just like, get out there and live your dreams. You have a calling. It's been ancestors have told you, the sages have told you, now it's time for you to get out there and do the work and to make it happen. And that's for anybody. It doesn't matter how old you are. We all have a calling. We all have gifts. And, we don't have time to squander those things. And it's like, that's kind of what it is. It's just like, get out there and do it.
Well, I'm having some fun tonight with my friend Annie Mac. We're going to listen to Get on the Train. We got Miss Mac on for the whole show tonight on the Wall of Power Radio Hour.
Your restless spirit won't let you sleep. Divine appointment you need to keep. You have a gift, the ancestors say. Make haste, brother, be on your way. Your dreams won't make themselves come true. Don't let your doubts set a trap for you. Just get on the train and don't look back. There's a freedom waiting on the tracks. Stuck between desires and fears. You know your calling's greater than here. You have a gift, the wise ones say. Make haste, sister, be on your way. Go to the mountains, down to the sea. Tell everybody so they believe. Just get on the train and don't look back. Just get on the train and don't look back.
Welcome back to the second set of the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metza. We have the most delightful Annie Mac on the show all night tonight. She's got a record out called Testify. Later this evening, she's going to be performing on a Taj Mahal curated event called Roots Rising Showcase. And you can buy tickets at that. That's starting at 8 Central Time. Buy some tickets at tajmahal.com. It's going to be Annie. And Annie, who's some of the other artists that will be performing?
We have Amethyst Kaya. We have John Tavius Willis, who I got to share a show with before everything happened at the Dakota, which was really awesome. There are some really amazing artists on this lineup, and yeah, it's really great. And then we also have Layla McCullough, Piedmont Blues acoustic duo, Robin Trey. Yeah, just a really great lineup.
Well, when we were talking, setting up this interview, I did my very first gig under my own name in 1984. I had my record just came out, my first record, Paper Tigers, and I had the pleasure of opening up for Taj Mahal, who was a hero of mine at the North Shore Theater, and Taj did about a 2.5-hour set, went next door to sit in with Dave Snaker Ray, who was an old friend of his, played with him for about an hour and a half. Then we ended up at a party at about midnight and jammed all night long. Finally at 4 in the morning, I said, Taj, you win. This white boy's got to go home and go to bed. And I think he played for another hour. He's just, I remember he had a button that said 40 and feeling sexy, and that was 1984. But he is still rocking, so it's got to be such an honor for you to be associated with the great Taj Mahal.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel very humbled, and I feel, extremely honored. And just, I'm a student always. I've been listening to him since I was a child, in my home. Mm-hmm. My mother loved artists like Sweet Honey in the Rock, Odetta, excuse me, Mr. Taj Mahal, just so many fantastic artists. And he's, to me, a national treasure. So it's great to be able to honor and to share space, with him.
That's incredible.
And
I am very impressed. City Pages calls you inspirational and anthemic. So tell us a little bit about how Testify came together.
Testify, I write in life. I'm a mother of 3. 2 of my children are under the age of 6. And so I write. I'm getting my butt kicked. So I write.
If you got to run, Annie, I get it, right?
No, it's all good. But
Okay.
I just write in the midst of life, and I think about, for me, I have to have an emotional response to know that it's a legit song and that it's coming from an authentic space. I don't write for the mass. I want to be accessible, but if I feel something, then I know it's going to transcend. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I have to write something that's truthful. And the EP was just really inspired by various things. I wanted to honor myself as a Black woman and honor other Black women. I wanted to honor, the process of co-producing. That was important to me. To push myself artistically and to really embrace the sounds that I love, the styles that I love, to tell the story properly. And then also pre-production started in about February, pre-production of last year. And, March came about, right, and everything just kind of went by the wayside. And so I just sat at home and allowed myself to just embrace the break and grieve and do what I need to do. And then, come May, the latter part of May, Mr. Floyd was murdered. And It took me about a day or two, and then I reached out to Matt Patrick, whom I co-produced with, and I said, let's do something. I'm ready to come back in if you're ready, if we're going to be safe. And I said, if there was ever a time, I don't have the energy to talk to anybody right now. But I have the energy to go into the studio and create something, to not be silenced, by using violence and murder and intimidation. It was important to create when my spirit was broken.
Right.
And normally I don't do that. Well, maybe I do. I need to examine that, but I was pretty broken. But I'm like, even in my brokenness, I'm still going to say, I'm not going to allow this to silence me, just like, Mr. Floyd was not, silenced. It may seem like that in the physical realm. However, in the spiritual realm and in things of that nature, it's a fire, it's a call. So that's kind of what I wanted to honor.
Well, that's in times of deep tragedy like that, especially what's so personal for us that lived in Minneapolis and knew 38th in Chicago, that it was, you can get a real inspiration out of it in a beautiful sort of way, because you're trying to deal with not only that tragedy, but it mirrors so much of, the Black experience in this country. It's so good for you for getting out. Did it help heal you, Annie Mac?
I think by now, being a lifelong resident of Minnesota, Minneapolis, we've had so many horrible issues within the communities and the police brutality and all those things. So for me, it was just time.
Right.
I think there's some healing, but I also think it's a call. Testify has a march. It has a groove of being steady and steadfast. And I actually imagine people, marching. This is we testify to change. We testify to justice. We testify. These are the things that we're calling out. These are the things that, and, we walk this life, in the physical, and then we call upon those to walk with us in the spiritual, our ancestors, those who have gone before us. So it's really, and I think about the women of faith, the Black women of faith, who many times they have that, Mama Mavis has that way, you don't have to be a Christian.
Right.
You don't have to be nothing, but if she tells you it's going to be all right and to stay steady and strong, you believe her.
That's right.
And so that, it doesn't matter your background, you just believe her.
That's right.
Because you just know, so that's kind of what I wanted to honor her. Like I said, it's a lot in there going on, but it was important to kind of create that sacredness, if you will.
Well, bless you, Annie Mac. We're going to listen to another song off your great EP, Testify. This is called Shadows of a Kingdom, and we'll be back with Miss Mac for the whole show tonight on the Wall of Power Radio Hour.
A storm had been built
Welcome back to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is the third set of 4, and this is your host, Paul Messa. We are having a most enjoyable time with my guest, Annie Mac, tonight. Annie, now, you and I have never, we've been on shows together. We've seen each other. Of course, we're friendly when we see each other, but I think we've got a really cool mutual friend. Tell my listeners about her.
Well, I call her lovingly, I call her Southside, but many of the folks know her by Jennifer Magnus, and she's a phenomenal Americana blues roots, amazing artist, lyricist, and singer-songwriter, and I'm lucky to call her friend.
Have you done shows with Jennifer?
Yes, I supported her at the Dakota.
Oh, nice.
And she had I was so humbled. She's such a powerhouse, I just take notes, it's a master class, right? It's a master class, and she was so gracious, and she loved up on me, from at her show from the stage, about one of my songs that really speaks to her, and I just remember thinking, man, I hope to return that to somebody, someday, that, when a person whom you really admire and respect is able to throw you some love from their show, that's kind of a big deal.
Well, she wrote a great and harrowing book, told the story of her life, and we joke around, too, because I think she started smoking when she was about 13 years old. She doesn't anymore, but she's kind of a wild child. And I owe her a lot back when there was actually live music in clubs. I was doing my birthday gig, a little club on the river, and she was coming in, I think it was for that Dakota gig, and she flew in a day early just to come and sit in with me. So I was so happy for that. And she's not only a great singer and powerful woman, but just a wonderful songwriter.
Absolutely. Yes, she really is.
How about the Annie and Jennifer duet record? Can we get that going?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Let's put that.
I'll have to talk to her.
Yes, you. Let's just put that thought into the universe right now and see if we can get that done in the next, let's start it this year sometime.
Yeah, we'll get
We'll figure out a way to get Jennifer to town, and then we'll figure out a way to get you guys into the studio. Oh, would that be a lot of fun? Who else do you love listening to?
I'm really digging I'm digging the Black Pumas right now. I think that
great.
gentleman's voice is, extremely rich. Who else am I? I go back to the oldies. I try to, keep up. My daughter keeps me pretty, somewhat hip. But a lot of Brittany Howard, I really dig her a lot.
Oh, she's great.
She really is, but and actually I listen to a lot of like spa music, like a lot of I don't even know what else to call it, but it's just really like trance, just really like shamanic. I probably sound crazy, but like outside sounds, Peruvian flute,
sure.
Things of that nature. I really love kind of like the soundscapes, if you will. I really enjoy listening to that type of music.
Do you now tell us how old are your kids?
19, 6, and 4.
You took a little break there for a while, man.
Yeah, I was close to the promised land, and then I had to turn around and fall in love.
Oh,
and that's what tripped me up. And then so there's that. So 6 and 4, they're just the sweetest little boys, and very funny. And we've had so much time, during the quarantine, and for me just to have a new appreciation and love for them. They're sweeties.
And what's the 19-year-old doing?
I don't know. Like I have to go and like slide notes under her door, to her room. Like he's just very, are you good? Is everything okay? You're good. Okay, you're good. So she's probably getting ready to go back to work here. She took a little break because she was working in retail, and things were kind of ramping up, with the COVID being, everyone being inside and during the holidays and stuff like that. So
yeah, I had a buddy of mine a couple of years ago, was driving with his son, taking him out for whatever, go to see something to celebrate the day, and son has got the headphones on, looking at the phone the whole time, and finally his dad just goes, texts him, sit right next to him in the car. Oh, by the way, happy birthday.
Yeah.
These kids, I'll tell you what, man, they don't answer the phone, number one. It's all text messages, and it's like, oh, man, it's leaving me all behind. But that's why it's nice to talk to people like Annie Mac, who can converse and laugh and tell me things I don't know. Did you inherit your mom's record collection?
I did.
Oh.
Absolutely. Yep.
House?
Yeah, it was. It was really cool. It was better than any gold, to get those things.
What other musicians? We'll talk a little bit about who played on Testify, but who do you like going here and around the Twin Cities? Back when you could, who do you like to listen to or work with?
I love Debbie Duncan. May she rest in peace. Mr. Willie Walker.
May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. These were people that really were kind to me. Mr. Walker was so kind to me and so encouraging and such a gentleman.
Yeah.
And really funny, really funny, but he always had an encouragement, and we would joke. But he was a person that I like to go see by myself, so I could allow myself to really fully feel and express myself emotionally. So what I mean by that is it's like going to the movies when I was a kid. If I wanted to cry, or if I wanted to, that's the feeling that Mr. Walker, and just to hear his tone and texture and delivery,
yeah.
and just. He was always so sweet. I would say, "Why are you prettier than me, Mr. Walker? Every single time I see you, that crease done cut me 3 times." And I would just give him the hardest time because he was always so sharp and so shiny.
Oh man!
And his wife, his sweet wife. So it became just seeing his face and going out, and he always made time for everybody to say hello.
He sure did.
And you knew you were in great company. You knew he was great, but that humility, and then you step on stage, and then you just feel like a fool for not, really, I don't know what the right words are, but just a class act. And when you know someone has that gift, you just know. It was really sweet to be at the BMAs and have, to hear these other artists just kind of, honor him. And he was still alive, actually, just to be like, there's no one else. It's just Mr. Walker. It's just kind of like, we're just up here. We don't know how we ended up here, getting this award. It's Mr. Walker's,
Well, I went down to the 2018 Blues Music Awards, and he never won, but he was one of the most nominated musicians in the history of the Blues Music Awards. And of course, he's from Memphis, where it was from, and his lovely wife Judy was right there by his side. And I walked in as he started his performance, and I'm a little. I love the guy, so I might be a little. I don't know what the word is, but anyway, he blew the roof off the place. He was the best thing on that show, and he looked like $1 million, like he always did, and he was, it was really a gift. We played together for 10 years. We played over 500 different gigs together, and the great thing, Annie, was with Willie. Of course, the gigs it was so easy to play with him, and I just played acoustic guitar and he sang. And so I could just listen to that beauty and that God-given talent, one ear to his voice, one ear to make sure I wasn't screwing up on the guitar. But I remember asking him, I said, Willie, when did you realize you had a gift? And he said, well, I don't know if it was that. He said, but when I was just a kid, 10 or 11 years old, he said, singing just made me really happy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he was that humble,
Yes, yeah, I know it. And So yeah, those are the people I go see and kind of treat myself to. I love Patty Peterson.
Patty's
I
the
love
best.
Barbara LaShore.
Oh, Barbara
so
was great. May she rest in
yeah,
peace.
she was so great. She was a great mentor to me. She was a really as a blues woman, and she loved that she had elements of jazz and soul. It made her stand out. It made her stand out as a vocalist, and she knew that. And she said, "Baby, you always got to have something in your purse." She said, "You got to have something in your bag of tricks. Don't let people peg you for one thing. You come out and you show them, mother, another thing. If you know Miss Barbara,
Oh, yeah, I know Barbara.
So, there'd be a lot of, and I remember just kind of chuckling to myself because I was very fortunate enough to know these people. We didn't see each other all the time, but when we did, the mentorship and the heart was there. And I was very grateful to have that from these people whom I just really respect and adore. Always had a word of wisdom, always had even more words of encouragement, and they were just like, "Baby, don't stop. Keep going, So I'm very grateful for that.
Well, we are glad you did. And, yeah, Barbara was a force of nature, gorgeous woman, and but you didn't want to cross her.
No, she liked me. I was very happy about that.
Whenever Barbara and I, because I booked her several times when I was booking Famous Daves, I said, whenever there was a problem, I go, Barbara, whatever you want, you get.
Yep.
You win.
Yep.
We're going to listen to Testify by my guest, Annie Mac, and then have her on for one more segment on the Wall of Power Radio. We're having a ball.
You gotta testify, tell the truth, stand on the rock of what he did for you. You gotta testify, tell the truth, stand on the rock of what he did for you. Well, that old devil, he went to Jesus too. He said, how you gonna eat if you ain't got no food? Now Jesus said, you better keep moving on. I say mighty full on the word alone. You gotta testify, tell the truth, stand on the rock of what it did. I'm walking around with my head in the clouds. I ain't never had no love, but it sure feels right. So tired of feeling lost in my own mind. I'm embracing this love, and I'm loving my time. And I don't wanna run, I'm not gonna hide, I'm just gonna let it be. It's time to stop fighting, time to stop denying, time I'll just start to believe.
Welcome back to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metz, and this is the fourth set. We just heard Walking Around by my guest, Annie Mac. Annie, tell us about, you got 5 songs on this new EP called Testify. Talk about some of the musicians and who produced it and where people can get it.
Matt Patrick and I produced it at the Library Recording Studio in Northeast Minneapolis.
Beautiful.
And the artists on there are just some of the best, just amazing creatives, so established in their own right. So we got Tanya Hughes and Sarah Renner, who stepped in to do really awesome background vocals and to help me out. Stephen Kong, as you know, he works with the New Standards and the Honey Dogs. We also have Noah Levy on drums, Jeremy Yalvasacher on guitar, and then we had Aaron Fabrini on bass.
Wow.
And that was the crew, yeah.
That's the
And it was
A-team?
really- That's the A-team, yeah. It was the A-team. And Steven, he actually came in and did for the mariachi, I was just convinced that I heard mariachi horns. I said, there's got to be a way to do soul, like 60s, soul, 70s, kind of California
Nice.
mariachi, Tex-Mex. And he came in and knocked it out, and he did the harmonies and everything. And it was really awesome.
Now, how many records have you put out?
Let's see, 3. This will be, so my full length was Baptized in the Blues back in 2013. That was my debut. 2017, I did another EP called, what was my EP called? In 2017, Tell Like It Is.
There you
then this is, thank you. This was good.
No hurry.
And then this is my third. And then I've done some singles, a couple of singles along the way and things of that nature. But it was important for me to get back organic and to get to the ground and to not focus on having like a lead instrument. If you listen to it, it's nicely sparse. That's done on purpose to really allow the songs to kind of just breathe and have my vocals and not do a traditional, I didn't want to do a traditional, like, okay, here's the blues, here's the lead guitar.
Right.
Here's the lead, I just wanted to honor the music and the story. It's about the lyrics,
Right. Have you ever thought about, as a poet, just putting out a book of poems?
I actually thought about taking my songs, and whomever needs to steal this idea, steal it, because it's good. I get you.
Great. I got my pen.
There's room at the table for all of us. And actually just telling my story by, maybe just putting my songs, the lyrics, but tweaking them a little bit and giving the backstory behind the song. So I do have a desire. Like I said, I tell stories. I tell my own story and others, and that's where my music came from before I set it to, any music. It was just, here's my story,
And people can get this record at AnnieMac.com, but it's probably on all the streaming services, I'm guessing.
Yes, AnnieMacMusic.com, and it is on all the streaming services, the Amazon, the Spotify, the Google, all those things. You can find it and get it.
What are you looking to do now that things are slowly opening up? What are you looking to do besides play music when you can go out into the real world and see people and do things?
I was telling someone, I was doing Brian Oak or something like that the other day on his show. And here's the best way to put it. To me, music and the career and the business and the relationship is like a relationship. It's like when you have something that's really good, but you don't always appreciate it and do everything you're supposed to, and then you have to live without it for a little bit, that relationship, that person or whomever, and then you're like, baby, if you give me one more chance, I promise I will be right by you. And so for me, it's like I will show up on time to sound check. I promise that, I will support my peers better. I promise. If you just come back to me, I'm a changed woman. I've learned my lesson. I will be more supportive. That's kind of how I feel with the whole music thing. Like, there's a lot of things that need to happen. And then there's a lot that I had to be convicted about to really honor and not ever take for granted what I was doing. Not ever, ever take it for granted. We don't take whom we love or those that we say we love and the things that we love. We don't do that. And that's been a lesson for me,
That's really a beautiful way of putting it, and I think a lot of people, I certainly relate to that, and I'm sure a lot of people out there that are listening to this do. So we've got about a minute left, Annie Mac. You're a mother of 3. You lost your sister and your mother, so you've gone through a lot of this alone. What is your advice for other people out there that are doing it by themselves or have lost loved ones or whatever it is? What will Annie Mac, what's your advice?
Keep going. Keep going. You have everything. Universe will provide for you everything that you need in this life to do what you're called to do. And if you're open to the work and you're open to sometimes being corrected and loved, if you're open to always pushing to grow on a personal human level, a spiritual level, and just really having integrity and character, there's no stopping. It's like the universe, it's ours, you know? So keep going. Even if you really do have to fake it, know that that's not in vain either. You know, we keep going and we hope. You know, it's not in vain. We hold hope. It all serves a purpose. And so I say it to a lot of people. And so you got dreams for a reason.
And
hold on to them.
And a little white lie ain't going to kill you.
They ain't going to kill you. You're going to be just fine. I wouldn't trust you if you called yourself a musician and you didn't do it.
Annie, this has been a most incredible evening. She's going to be on the Taj Mahal Roots Rising showcase here tonight. Go to tajmahal.com, buy tickets. Annie, I can't wait to see you in person soon. I want to get a copy of this record so I can play it in my truck, but this has really been enjoyable. Great hooking up with you again.
Thank you so much for your love for artists and what you do, and I really appreciate you having me. And thank you so much, Patrick. It's been an honor. I appreciate you so much and what you do.
Thanks, Annie. Enjoy the spring, and tell Geneva send my love.
I will, absolutely.
Okay, honey. Good night.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. The show is produced by Paul Metza, engineered by Patrick Lulia. We'd like to thank our guest, Annie Mac. She was so delightful. Go to AnnieMacMusic.com. Buy some of her records. If you're looking for a really cool duplex in Northeast Minneapolis, I am selling mine. Contact me directly at paul@paulmetza.com. Hope you're getting out there enjoying this great weather. And like my dad used to tell me, remember to be kind and make someone happy.